salary advances.
Amazing! Introducing the digital youth account. NDBZ. NDBZ from NDB Bank. The future is banking on us.
Creamy richness redefined. Smooth, soft, spreadable.
Hey, have you heard about Z?
ZZ. 𝐊𝐶𝐴𝐴.
Easy.
Mobile banking. Crazy.
Education loans and salary advances.
Amazing! Introducing the digital youth account. NDBZ. NDBZ from NDB Bank. The future is banking on us.
Creamy richness redefined. Smooth, soft, spreadable. Introducing Ultra Soft Fondue with canola and sunflower oil.
We search the world for the finest things for you. Things like sun-kissed European berries, rich chocolate from the world's best cocoa fields, and crisp cashews and fluffy marshmallows in a quirky Australian recipe.
𝐬𝐿𝐴𝐷. Experience the world.
හැමදේම අතළඟ තියෙද්දි දුක් විඳින්නේ ඇයි?
Welcome
Always a
back.
pleasure.
Boa.
Looks like all the old boys are here today. So hey, nice to see you on screen, Sujit. Always the man, the boss himself, rolling up his sleeves because all the young
It
bucks
is.
are away. So now it's always a pleasure to be here, and yeah, lots to talk about this week as well.
Sorry, mate. I think the signal just I lost the signal.
Hang on, let me just. Is that better? Can we hear some sound, folks? No audio.
Yep. I can see you well. I'm
How's
sure you
audio?
had a exciting weekend in Auckland as well, with the AB's games happening. While we had a stormy weather here in Sri Lanka, if you won't mind if I tell
Thanks. Sorry, folks. I think we've got a slight
Yeah,
connection issue from. We're back on.
we are back on. We are back on. Good to go.
Yeah, look, exciting weekend here in Auckland. Obviously, the All Blacks test. I was there. They were, Borden Barrett made all the change. But look, we're here not to talk about All Blacks or England. A lot to cover. Lots happened this week as well. Bit of controversy, which we'll get into later on. But overall, some very competitive games. Saw some really good things as well. A few things the teams can improve on. So we'll get into that. So let's rock and roll, Sujit.
Yep. Let me quickly run through the last weekend's games we had. On Friday, we had Wesley College hosting Royal College at the Havelock Park, which was a thriller at the first half. In fact, it was Royal leading by just 1 point, 7 points to 6, and then went on to win by a bit of a comfortable margin, 27 points by 14. Wesley could have or would have done so many things differently, made an upset if that's so, but nevertheless, Royal did what Royal doing well, defending as well as accumulating points, and they survived to remain unbeaten going into the 6th week. And then we also had St. Peter's College taking on St. Joseph's College for the 64th, the Battle of Joe Pete, battle for the Reverend Father Basil 𝐕𝐴𝐴𝐴𝐿. And then there are, again, until the kickoff, Boa, we did not have any confirmation whether the match will kick off because of the wet ground conditions. But hats off to the ground staff as well as the committees and the Rugby Foundation and the junior boys who rallied around and somehow got the game going. And St. Peter's straight away made business with the kickoff, scoring a wonderful try in the left corner flag, and then went on to score 25 points to 10 victory over Joes. And on the same day, we had some interesting games happening in Havelock. I'm sure you will talk about it more later, as well as Mount Lavinia. At Havelock Park, Trinity College was the guest for Isipatana College, a game which went down to the wire, I would say. Trinity had it all at the first half, leading by 10 points to 3. And the Green Machine was, I would say, shocked a bit. And then they had the customary late rally and scored 2 tries against the 1 penalty which Trinity scored. And Isipatana remained unbeaten with a 15-13 nerve-wracking win. And then we also had St. Thomas's College upstaging with a Tomian grit. The Dons, the more fancy DS Ranaica boys, with a 29 to 15 win. I mean, in fact, Tomians were leading in the first half as well from the kickoff. I would say they did not give any room for Dons to run around, and they were the winners at the end of the day. So St. Ranaica boys eating the humble pie at Mount Lavinia after the 5th week of games. And then we also had up in Bogambara, Kingswood College taking on Thurston College, and good to see Kingswood notching up a win after many years. It was like a decade after we see them winning, and 31 points to 17 that the results went in favor of them. And another upset we had was in Colombo, when Zyra College hosting Vidyartha College. Again, we all expected Vidyartha to, with their performance of the season so far, to notch up another win, but it was not to be. The Tigers got stuck in the mud, and Maradana losing by 13 points to 10 against Zyra College. And then we moved into Sunday. We had the hometown rivals Dharmaraja College taking on St. Anthony's College at Bogambara. There again, mind you, just to give a background, Anthony's have been winning the encounter since 2013 until it was played till 2019. They had a break in between from 2019 till this year. Dharmaraja bounced back, beat them comprehensively, 24 points to 6, and giving Anthonians their 4th straight defeat of the season. And then we also had, finally, the Science College was back on the field, I would say, at Police Park, behind closed doors, a game which we all waiting for, because Science, after that infamous incident in Mount Lavinia against Tomians, we want to see them back in action and playing good rugby, which they used to know. So Science pulled off a 41 points to 12 win. It was a lackluster affair, maybe not having the presence of spectators would have been felt by both sides in the first half. However, second half, the game intensified and then they moved ahead with a 41-12 win. So that's the basic summary of the week. So we have 3 teams remaining unbeaten. That is Isipathana College and St. Peter's and Royal. By the looks of the points table, I would say, Boa, we have Royal and St. Peter's almost but assured of their path for the second round, while Isipathana the same. And there is a battle between rest of it to catch up. Over to you.
Yeah, look, my early mail, I mean, even before the year started, I suggested that it'll be between St. Peter's and Royal in that order, St. Peter's being the defending double champs, and then Royal to be the second favorite, second favorite, and Isipathana my third top pick. And there was really between Vidyartha, DS, and St. Thomas's and Trinity. And, looks after 5 weeks, it's sort of how things are playing itself out. And then there's the rest who's trying to battle. I think one of the bigger upsets of the weekend was Vidyartha, the Tigers. I know there's a lot of fans from Vidyartha watching this show, going down to Zahira. It was a very closely contested game, and you're right, the surface wasn't the greatest. And look, I have to say, I thought there's a few calls. Vidyartha were very, very keen at the breakdown. Sometimes these penalties go your way, sometimes they don't. Really comes down to the interpretation of the ref. And in this instance, Vidyartha got pinged a couple of times, and it was pretty much the difference. So outside of that, St. Peter's, particularly the way they played, the willingness to run the ball at every given opportunity, because Bambalapitiya, that surface was very soggy and muddy, but the way these boys wanted to attack with, I was super impressed. I was very, very impressed. And I don't think there's any side in this competition who can actually stay with the St. Peter's lateral attack, because they've just got game breakers, particularly in that back three, and then Vinga Silva, his solo try. This is a very early contender for try of the season. Outstanding stuff, the skill set to be able to run around players, step off their right, keep the balance, and still accelerate off your step, slow down, and then beat people out of pace. It's phenomenal stuff. And then, of course, Royal, as you said, that first half, a little bit sluggish. But then once they got their act together in the second half, some outstanding stuff. And the willingness to kick penalties, for me, has been a real revelation, because both Wesley and Royal traded penalties. And in fact, Wesley stayed in touch with penalties. So it was really lovely to see. And even Royal, early in the second half, when they got a couple of penalties, they opted to take the shot and they built scoreboard pressure. So I think that message I've been sending through to everyone, take the points, is finally sinking in. And also, even in the Trinity Isipathana game, Trinity, in that first half, they got into that lead by actually kicking the points. So it's really nice to see that the message is getting through, and the coaches are being a lot more tactical and just backing a dead horse, which they know is 50-50, and they might make a mistake by just trying to, kick to a line out and turn over possession. Special mention, Dharmaraja. Really liked the way they played, the Rajans. They were very physical. They won the breakdown. They were taking space. This is something I've been going on for a little while. By space, I mean the players, the players who go into the ruck don't park themselves at ruck. They just clean slightly past the ruck and take bodies. And it means that it gives the halfback or the scrum half really good quality possession, so then they can get the ball to the back. So that was, I thought, outstanding stuff. The Science game was a little bit weird to watch, actually, behind closed doors, no spectators. And a massive shout out to Science for putting up a big screen and getting all the juniors to watch the game. I thought that's fantastic stuff. And I know some of the people sponsoring Science College, I take my hat off to you for sticking by Science College. So I thought that was classy bit of touch. And of course, talking about class and spirit of the game, pre-game, the Isipathana team presenting a commemorative jersey for Master Hamad, who passed away early in the season. I thought that's just, fantastic stuff. And of course, we had that little controversy, which we will get into later on. But overall, very exciting stuff. And looking forward to some more exciting. And of course, there's a derby game coming up involving Wesley and Kingswood. And yes, Kingswood winning a game after 4 years and 4 months and something days. Man, some feeling. So well done. And let's not forget Thurston as well. I think they put up a decent fight, but against A division opposition, it's always a bit of struggle. So lots happening. Hopefully that summarizes things to some degree.
So frankly speaking, Boa, if you look at the games, the critical games, I would say your thoughts on the Wesley Royal game. I felt there were it was a close game. Your thoughts on that game first?
Yeah, look, it's about minimizing mistakes. That's the most important thing. And it was a bit of back and forth going on, and it's a fitness factor. It really is a fitness factor, and it's about whether you can last 70 minutes. That's what it really comes down to. So, Wesley could manage that first half, and they fired a few shots. They stayed in the game, and then you had the second half where they started fading away, and Royal superior fitness eventually proved it's a conditioning. So that's what it really comes down to. Soon as a side who is more conditioned, who can be more physical, they can really enforce themselves up front in the breakdown, win possession, recycle possession, then it's pretty much game over. And I think this is something Wesley needs to focus on. If it's not realistic to turn around your fitness just like that. So they might really have to look at how they manage their minutes with players, be a lot more tactical, understand how they can play a territorial game. Royal, on the other hand, sluggish start. I think that off week didn't do them any favors. They're a team who needs to, constantly play their style of play. But in the second half, once they got into gear, once they got that physicality, get that clean ruck recycle ball, everything, sort of fell into play and normal service resumed. But game effort by Wesley, Royal got tested, and that's a good thing. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I know some of the Royal supporters will be a little bit concerned and worried that they had a sluggish first half. My view, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. You need to get tested. You need a bit of a wake-up call. So in the end, superior fitness, skills, and conditioning won them the game. But outstanding effort, I thought, by Wesley to really slug it out with the second favorite of the competition.
Yeah, I think that was the first game that Royal were really tested, I felt.
Yeah, it certainly did. And with really physical sides, you've got to be able to stay in the fight. And teams who can stay in the fight for 70 minutes will really push teams, because when you put pressure does funny things, because this is schoolboy rugby. It's not super rugby. And, they make mistakes. So you've got to be able to exert pressure, contest the breakdown, contest the set piece. But once the fitness factor starts coming in, and once you start, the fatigue comes in, it's pretty much downhill from there. And that's pretty much what happened to Wesley. So hopefully they pick up on this, and they're already putting the work in. But it's not realistic to expect these schoolboys to try and all of a sudden pick up fitness. So they might really have to look at their squad depth and how they manage their minutes with their players. So they need to have really good impact off the bench. I know they've got a derby game this weekend coming up against Kingswood, a shield game. So maybe this is something they need to look at and put some focus on.
Moving on to Saturday, Boa, your take on the, let's move from Mount Lavinia. First, we start with Mount Lavinia, the DS taking on St. Thomas's. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, again, I think DS fell victim to the off week. I did warn everyone that make sure you keep your contact and your fitness intact going through this off week. And really how you prepare and how you do your contact and training will determine how well you play or how well you don't play. So there are certain sides, the type of players they have, the way they play their game, they need to play regular rugby week in, week out. right? And you got to manage your minutes. So that really comes down to understanding your players, and that's more tactical coaching aspect, and it's a learning thing. So the thing is, if you can get away and get a win and come out unscathed, it's all good. But as DS found out, they played a quality opposition. St. Thomas were very brave. They won the battle up front. They won the territorial game, as well as they hung on to possession. They made as little mistakes as they can, and they won the win. They got the win. Beg your pardon. So, when this sort of thing happens, and you get caught on the hop, and you get an unexpected loss, it kind of derails your campaign. So I think this will be a minor setback for DS. So they'll be hurting a little bit, because they were very bullish about making that top 4 and making it in the super round. So it's just going to have to be a little bit of realignment, look at some of their tactics, and see if they can get their campaign back on track this weekend.
Right, interesting. And then we move on to the Havelock Park, Trinity taking on Isipatana.
Yeah, well, after 5 years, great encounter, close game. Isipatana remains unbeaten. I thought it was, the surface was, pretty horrible, really. What really amazed me was that Isipatana at times were willing to play a pass every second. They were just shifting the ball laterally, side to side, left to right, and trying to play this really high tempo game and playing from their own half. And at times I thought they were overplaying. And what really impressed me was they actually had the fitness to do it, and doing it on a very heavy surface. It's not easy. So I think tactically they were probably off the mark. Trinity, for all their worth, they were smart. They took the points, and they built scoreboard pressure. That's what they did. They did that really, really well. And I think there wasn't enough return on effort for Isipatana for that effort they put in. It was really nice to see. Look, on a dry surface, I have no doubt that most of those movements would have ended up in many tries. It's just that the surface was so bad, they just couldn't get any headway. So, they needed to really change their tactics and look to play territory and play in the opposition 22, as opposed to, attack from their own 22. So I thought there was a slight tactical blunder there, but, they'll learn from it. And hopefully we'll have a better surface for Isipatana and teams who like to play lateral rugby, like St. Peter's, in the weeks coming up. Now, of course, there was a very controversial moment, which I'll get into in a moment. Besides that, I think Isipatana will be relieved they got the win. Trinity will be bitterly disappointed they didn't. They did have a couple opportunities where they could have kicked some points and gotten ahead. And of course, there was one penalty, which was, probably about 45 meters on the angle. But again, they kept kicking for goal. So that's really good to see. But yeah, they'll be bitterly disappointed that they couldn't get up and win. I thought they showed a lot of courage and a lot of fight. But so did Isipatana to sort of hang in there, and it was a real counter punch sort of game. Bit unfortunate that we had that controversy, which we'll talk about. But overall, I thought it's a very exciting game. Hopefully, we can see a dry surface so we can see this Isipatana side run and attack the way they have been and the way they're trying to. And I think they're improving week by week. And so is Trinity.
Well, I just need to go back into your previous match. We spoke about the Royal game, since there was a question asked on the forum before we deliberate on the Trinity Isipatana match. Bo, any idea why Tuskers cleared the bench instead of scoring the bonus point? Any idea?
Oh, very simple. Very simple, because they had the week off and coach understood that there was some rust setting in and he needed to give the bench some minutes. So to me, that's very smart. Look, bonus point, it sounds very simple. The bonus point is the point you get after you score the fourth try, or you get your bonus. So the most important thing was they won. And to me, also it showed that some of their players might have fatigued and they respected the opposition. So that's a great compliment to Wesley, because they really fought their heart out against a very, very physical team. And, I looked at some of those close-up situations in the ruck. Oh, it's just, for under 20 schoolboy level in the island nation, it was pretty physical. One thing I do have to say was there was a few too many penalties in the breakdown. There's a few yellow cards there as well. I know a lot of people ask questions about it. I'm not a big fan of this whole yellow card business, because unless there's an absolute reason to pull out a card, don't. And also with the penalty breakdown, now I know this comes down to referee interpretation, but soon as you see that players are not maintaining their body weight, the best thing you can do is call the captains in and say, look, boys, we need to sort this out. Otherwise, every ruck, one of you will end up giving a penalty. So we need to sort it out. So I think that discussion should be had. So hopefully moving forward, we can see this. And of course, it's up to the teams as well. They need to have better technique when they enter into a ruck, when they clean a ruck, and they have to maintain their body position. Don't give the official any opportunity to penalize you. You need to look after your own internal discipline. So this is something I hope coaches and players alike will be listening into. Take notes and please work on it. And likewise with the referees, if you see an instance where both teams or a team is struggling and they're not actually maintaining their body position and their own weight, just tell them, hey, look, sort it out, or else, multiple infringements, someone's going to go to the bin eventually. So I think that is really, really important. And hopefully that gives a bit of clarity as well. So I had a lot of questions around this.
Bo, I'm being tempted to ask this question. I can see Tehran also joining for the discussion, because myself and Tehran both were there at the game on Friday. If you put it in a nutshell, what did Wesley do right in the first half, and what did they do not right in the second half?
Oh, very simple. They were contesting pretty much everything what Royal were doing. And of course, their kicking game out of hand was very good, and they played good territory. And whenever they put pressure, they took the points, and that kept the scoreboard ticking. And it just meant that Royal couldn't get that attacking rhythm going. So they disrupted Royal's attacking rhythm. And because fatigue wasn't an issue, they were able to stay afloat with a very well-conditioned side. Soon as the fatigue set in, that's when Royal sensed blood and they just went for the kill. So I think that was, to me, the biggest difference. And Royal learned from the first half. They didn't try to play from everywhere. It was, it was very sloppy. It was very sloppy from a team of that caliber. And they quickly sorted out their breakdown, also their ruck recycle, and they gave the halfback really high quality possession. So what happened to Wesley was what Royal did in the second half. Wesley did very well in the first half, but they couldn't quite replicate that in the second half, primarily because of fitness and fatigue. Buzz, I hope you're there.
Sorry, I'm just asking, where did Royal, or what did Royal do right in the second half than what they did in first half?
Yeah, so I think I answered that just before with the whole situation is that, they managed to physically impose themselves.
We lost Boa there. Boa, you're there?
I'm here. Can you hear me, headquarters?
Nevertheless, Tehran, would you like to join in the discussion? Yeah, we can hear. Boa, what I was asking is that what did Royal do right in the second half compared to the first half they faced against these Wesley's tactics?
Yeah, I think the the breakdown and the physicality, they really imposed themselves, and they got fast, good quality ruck recycle. And if you look at the defensive effort, Wesley started getting very narrow in the center of the field. Royal understood this, and they shifted the ball wide, and got their big ball carriers running into holes. And soon as the physicality, the fitness, and conditioning came into play, Wesley just simply faded. That's what happened. So it's a bit of a lesson for them. They need to get their fitness levels up. That's number one. If they can't fix this in record time, which is, it's always a tough ask, they just need to look at their bench depth and strength, and they really need to step up and do the job. However, keep in mind, they have that opportunity this weekend against Kingswood, which is, far less intense, opposition. So I think it'll be a little bit less, and they can hopefully get a W and get that confidence back.
Right. I think, Tehran, you can take it over from here. I'll be there. But one more question, going back into where we posed the Trinity 𝐸𝐶 encounter. My question to you, Boa, is that it was a intense affair during the first half. And I felt that Trinity got bogged down during the second half. Is that right? Or is it the condition that did not allow them to play the natural game?
Look, it was a bit of both. As I said before, the surface at Havelock Park was really muddy and slow. And I was like super impressed, and at the same time really surprised that 𝐸𝐶 were trying to play this breakneck speed game, right? And they put on a bit of a clinic with skills on how to handle in the wet, but the conditions are so atrocious, you just couldn't get any headway. So I thought Trinity read the conditions a lot better than 𝐸𝐶 did. And 𝐸𝐶 has just started to fight back in that second half and, win a few areas, particularly on the breakdown, and then just managed to get in the right part of the field. And of course, Trinity, they had a few opportunities and, just handling errors. So that's what kept holding them up. And of course, the set piece, the line out and the scrum. But look, in these really tense arm wrestles, it's about just winning a few key moments here and there. And of course, there was a very key moment, which was there was a try, which was awarded in the left corner, which has caused a major uproar. Now, I know I cut a couple of clips over the weekend and I shared it on my Facebook group, and I had a lot of feedback on it and had a lot of questions. So let me take this opportunity to actually address that. First and foremost, real time, it looked like the Patana winger had gone over the left-hand corner and scored the try. But upon closer inspection from the reverse angle, it was clear that he had lost control of the ball, and the ball was in fact propelled forward. Now, the reality is, in real time, with the ref and AR, I don't think neither of them were in the right position to call it, particularly the assistant referee, where the touchline was. He was kind of positioned slightly behind as opposed to being right on the corner where the corner flag was as you enter in goal area. So that was one of the issues, right? And of course, the referee, Alexander, who, by the way, I have to say, refereed a high intensity affair the previous day against Wesley versus Royal. So it's a really tough job this kid has been thrusted into doing. If you recall, last year, sometime in August, in fact, I commended Raveen Alexander for doing an outstanding job in the knockout final. And of course, the TMO, Anil Jayasinghe, for correctly calling everything, right? So the point I'm trying to make is, within the space of a year, because I feel that some of these referees have to referee a couple of back-to-back games, with their capacity and capability, maybe we're asking too much. Maybe that's one factor, and that's fatigue is, possibly a factor, and that's why they're not in the right position. So that question needs to be asked from the referees. That's number one. And number two, those sort of decisions, the reality is, without a TMO, it's almost impossible to adjudicate. 9 times out of 10, you're probably not going to get it right unless you're in the right position. So there's obviously a little bit a criticism there from me, is that I think the AR was in the wrong position and he was out of position. So that needs to be looked at. And whoever is looking into this needs to address that issue so that we don't get into this. Number 3, if there is no TMO, and in this case, we are told that financially and practically, it's impossible to have TMOs for all games, then we have to look at a practical solution, how we can assist the referees or how the sponsors and the organizers of these games, that's the schools association, how they assist the referees so that they can minimize their mistakes and try and get as many calls right. Okay, so my suggestion is, like in sevens rugby, where they have an in-goal assistant referee. Now, I know it just means that you add 2 more referees, but for the sake of everyone's sanity and for the sake of trying and getting as many decisions correct, we get a spare set of eyes, but their sole job is to focus on the grounding of the ball to see if there's, in a similar instance, whether there was a knock-on, whether there was some kind of infringement, and help the on-field referee make the right call. Okay, now this is not going to necessarily guarantee that it will happen right all the time, but with the right application and making sure people are in the right position to call it, it'll certainly help the referees make as many correct calls as possible. So that's my suggestion. So hopefully everyone's listening in. Last year we had the situation with citing commissioners. I spoke about it and voila, what happened? Next week, we had citing commissioners. So who knows, this weekend, we might have in-goal officials to assist the referee with grounding. Now, the 4th thing. I had a lot of questions because there was a head-on angle where is there a provision, was there head contact? A lot of people refer to this as a high tackle or a seat belt tackle, where the second Trinity defender was covering. And of course, most of the Sipatan supporters are saying that, oh, look, it should be a penalty try, yellow card, blah, blah, blah. The reality is, in the community game, without a TMO, it's impossible to adjudicate that because everything just happened too quick. Okay. And as I said before, the referee was slightly unsighted, so was the AR. So as things are, that probably didn't happen. But if there was a TMO, and if there was all the cameras and the slow-mo tech, yeah, probably there was grounds for a penalty try. The reason is you can see the defender had a swinging arm and there was contact, albeit that it was unintentional. It was more reckless. Now, I ran this scenario and I showed the video to a couple of my colleagues here who are involved as TMOs in professional rugby. And that was their conclusion as well. With no TMO, obviously you can't make the call. The referee and the AR were unsighted. Therefore, it's the on-field official's call and you got to stick with it, be it right or wrong. So that's one. And number 2, if there was a TMO, you look at the head contact. And in this instance, there seemed to be some head contact, and that action itself was what actually forced the player who was diving over the line to score the try, and that action prevented him from scoring the try. Then there was probably the provision for that as well. Because you have to understand that the player was diving and about to score, and he had clearly won that space. So it's up to the tackler to take every bit of care to make sure that they try and make a legal tackle and don't make any head contact. So bottom line is, I think both teams can feel a little bit hard done, but this is based on having all this technology to adjudicate the right call. We didn't have it. And I think the refs have to make a spur of the moment decision. And look, there was a lot of pressure at the venue at Havelock Park. So I actually empathize with referee Alexander and his touch judge. But as I said before, positioning themselves in the right position will kind of help this whole situation along. And hopefully we can get an in-goal AR as well. So I've addressed that. I've hopefully addressed all sides. I've tried to be as factual as I can based on what I've seen. And I've referred some expert opinions as well. So that's my take on it.
I think, Bo, I think we had this chat off the tackle or that situation reminds me of that George Gregan's tackle on Jeff Wilson back in the 90s at the British Low Cup second leg, I think. Not sure. We watched it on TV those days. We didn't have internet. Your thoughts again?
Yeah, so that's the classic example. In fact, we'll show the audience, the viewers, some footage as well, because in the Gregan tackle on Jeff Wilson, Wilson was about to dive over and score the match-winning try. Gregan makes a perfectly legal tackle and knocks the ball dead. So it's actually knock on. If you look at the position where George Gregan makes the tackle, it's around the waist. It's around the waist. So this whole thing about a high tackle, I wouldn't call it a high tackle. It's actually head contact. The onus is always under World Rugby's head contact framework. The onus is really on the tackler. The tackler must take every reasonable, reasonable care to make sure that they try and avoid head contact as much as you can. So in this instance, I'm not blaming the tackler at all, because it's just a impulse thing and it was reckless. And if it was a dangerous tackle, the try scorer and ball carrier 𝐕𝐶 Pathana would have been completely knocked out. He wasn't. He got back up on his feet. But that is irrelevant to a certain degree because there is some danger in that action, right? So I'm not totally sold either way. I think it's if we had 5 different TMOs looking at it, chances are we would have had 3 saying it's a penalty try. 2 might have said, well, actually, it's a rugby incident. So therefore, we just go with on-field call. So it's not clear cut. And that's why I said, I think both sides can feel a little bit aggrieved. But without technology and without referees being able to put their referees and assistant referees being able to put themselves in the right position to make that call, this debate is only going to rage on and on. And look, the reason I'm having this discussion is hopefully we can all educate ourselves and have a little bit of empathy about this situation and actually handle this situation a lot better. So hopefully that gives everyone some perspective.
Sorry. I think Boa education part is been well taken care of. I felt within that week of suspension, we all learned the bitter lessons. And we all want to share that with the spectators, students, players, that we need to respect the game, respect the players, uphold the spirit of the game. And hats off to both sides, as well as the spectators, especially for Trinity College. I mean, using the drones, the video footages, everything, they took it in a proper channel. I think that they would have taken it at the proper channel. They would have put it across to the referees as well as the match organizers. And they did not, descend to the level of, the hooliganism.
100%. And Sujit, what I have to say is, like, with both teams, the game was played in, outstanding spirit. Both teams played the game the way it was supposed to. Both sets of coaching staff. And, the 𝐕𝐶 Pathana organizers, I mean, they had ample security to ensure that, there was good level of security and safety for the referee. So, that's all we can ask for as far as, on-field logistics. So look, it'd be really interesting and it'd be really good for the benefit of the viewers if in fact we can watch that footage of that George Gregan tackle on Jeff Wilson, please, if it's available now.
Right, yes, it's coming across now.
And play they did. Down 17-6 at half-time, the All Blacks put on a sublime second-half performance. With seconds remaining, the visitors were on the verge of pulling off a huge comeback.
Goes to Jeff Wilson, that's the number 14. Now he beats the man on the inside, and look at happens next? There's Guigan coming in.
Can only look
And look at where the touch judge is.
And play
And
they
back
did.
then, there was no
Down
TMO, so he
17
was
to
right
6
on
at
the
half
spot.
time.
He
The
read
All
the
Blacks
play,
put on a
and he clearly
sublime
saw that
second half
there was a knock-on.
performance.
So
With
he
seconds
signals to his
remaining, the
on-field.
visitors were on the
Official
verge of pulling off
right
a
call is
huge
made.
comeback.
And if you look at that tackle, so we'll have another look at it. I want you to see where 𝐁𝐿𝐴, the tackler, makes the tackle. So he's around the waist. And see where the touch judge is. He clearly gestures to the referee
And play
that
they did. Down
there was
17
contact
to
on the
6
hand
at
and the
half
ball
time.
was knocked off.
The All
The
Blacks
right
put
call
on
was
a
made.
sublime
So look,
second-half
it's very
performance.
simple stuff. It's
With
knowing
seconds
where to
remaining, the
position
visitors
yourself, and that's experience. And by the way, that touch judge was the great Peter Marshall. We're having another look at it. Anyone wants to just Google this 𝐁𝐿𝐴 try saver. Ladies, look up.
I think there's a lot to learn for us. And back in the days where without the technology, they got the call spot on.
Yeah, so again, look, it's really simple stuff. Really, we don't need to overcomplicate this, or this is not rocket science, right? And you can see that's a safe tackle around the waist. Yeah, so there you go. Nice and easy. Hopefully, people are watching this, and we can learn from this. So hopefully, this has addressed this situation to the fullest. I've tried to be as accurate as I can with the facts and what I've seen. And again, look, what I want the audience to understand is the reason why we openly discuss this is because no other forum is doing this, no other platform is doing this, and everyone needs to learn from it. And hopefully, we can all do better and move forward. It's that simple.
I think we all are in learning curve, Boa, when it comes to rugby. We, the spectators, the media, the players, and the referees, administrators, because game has evolved leaps and bounds from where it was back in the 80s and 90s, where it was a more amateurish setup in terms of Sri Lanka schools rugby, whereas it has outgrown now, been taken over bigger than the I would say Sri Lanka rugby in terms of the capacity, the investments which goes in. Unfortunately, we are yet to see the technology being used. Again, there are reasons to it, and as you correctly said, these are schoolboy games, and I don't see. I saw a comment somewhere that in New Zealand and South Africa, you don't have they just play with the basic referees. They don't have the technology for the under-19 rugby, school rugby, or the university rugby. Right. So now we have I would say, I always said this, that we have outgrown our shoes. Now we have created a monster out of this schools rugby. There's no way going back. Now we need to cut our path and move forward. And at the same time, we need to get the technology in, the referees to be trained properly and then guided. I'm sure the referees union is doing that. Association is doing that. Dinka is on it. And Sri Lanka Rugby also will be looking at it, and let's hope for the best. I mean, that's all what we can do.
Yeah, you're right, Sujit. I mean, this competition it's snowballed in these major monsters, but that's because there is a demand for it. I mean, look at what we're doing here. Because the reason why we are having this discussion is because there is a big demand for this type of breakdown and analysis. Right? If there wasn't, we wouldn't be doing this, right? Now, when a competition evolves, everyone involved in it and all the stakeholders in it must evolve. So, for example, look at coaching. It's now a full-time profession for almost all coaches involved in all A division schools, and probably in most B and other C division. And in fact, the age grades as well. So it's turned into, I shouldn't be using this term, but it's almost like a cottage industry, and it's very lucrative, right? And then you have sponsors who've come on board who understand the value of it, right? And then you look at some of the ticket prices for some of the key games. It's not cheap, but people are still willing to pay the price and go for it. And you look at the online live coverage. I mean, Sri Lanka is right up there. It's almost like Premiership or Super Rugby level. And when I mean level, the length and volume of coverage. right? And then there's this issue where every year everyone starts talking about the refereeing. So if there is an issue, then it's up to the stakeholders to sort it out, not to go around trying blaming everyone else that it's their fault. And we can't pretend to be an ostrich and sink our head in the sand. So we have to openly discuss this. For example, with what we talk about tactics, I regularly critique coaching tactics and coaches, and most coaches, in fact, they take it on board. And I've had people getting in touch and saying, "Hey, look, thanks, appreciate the assistance, and we've learned." And the living proof is teams wanting to take penalty goals, take the points. I mean, going on and on and on and on, criticizing teams for turning down the shot. It's finally sunk through. They've learned, and they're getting ahead. So I think that's the most important thing. It's all about learning, and we learn every day. So the moment you stop thinking there's nothing to learn, that's when the rut sets in. So take that on board.
All right. Let's look at the rest of the games of the week. I'm sure Tiran will join in now with you, Boa, taking over from here, the rest of the matches. And then Chamat will definitely will have the highlights coming up of some of these games. Tiran, over to you.
Tiran, how are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Boa. Good to see you too. Hello and welcome to all our viewers around Sri Lanka and around the world watching this. I am Tiran Bazir, coming to you from Team Quadrangle. So far, I was in the discussion, lovely discussion here from Boa and our director, Mr. Sujit. Well, before I start over, let's just have a sneak peek at the highlights of the Wesley College taking on Royal College at Havelock Park. Double Blues taking on the Tuskers.
Between Wesley College and Royal College.
Buzz your audio.
And it's a successful kick from Abdul Hadi.
So many penalties. You should be allowed to play it, place it, or pass it. That's a beautiful conversion once again. So little by little.
Just few meters short now. The Tuskers, the Royal Tuskers, they have the advantage as well. Now here's Royal working the ball out wide. He has a lot of space to go over.
A 41-meter kick or so, and makes a decent connection. Does it have enough? And it has just enough to go over the crossbar, and the Wesley crowd delights itself.
Over they go. So again, basics done really well.
That left-hand touchline.
There's another kick. See what I mean? Scoreboard pressure.
Not rolling away is the call, but
there you go.
What
a beauty. Well done, Double Blues.
Job keeping those players in the ruck.
And this was a cracking try. You can see.
3 points.
Just
flags go up.
So high quality kicking from both teams as Nabil Yahya by 60 uprights with that kick.
Nope, it's a penalty. There you go. Another shot at goal.
Going to the short side again. This is the big prop forward. Tarusha Samarakone still going. Samarakone, is he over the line? Yes, he is. My goodness, what a run from Tarusha Samarakone. Wonderful conversion again from Yahya. And that's a 7-pointer which might just turn the tide of this match. The gap. Tiven Pereira sizes it up. Can he get there? Just dragged that 5-meter shot, but manages to get
me
the
and
ball away.
Tanvir came live on last week's show. I kept telling you this. Wesley had this amazing scoreboard pressure, which really confused the Royal team. And it's just a second half for bad luck for Wesley though. But this is the first half where Wesley actually took over the game.
And it's over.
Yeah, again, the value of scoring points, it's just that they couldn't stay stay in touch because of Royal's superior fitness. But it's nice to see Wesley get a try last minute. That would give them a bit of confidence for this weekend. Because they've obviously got the Blase.
Yep.
So 27-14. Royal win.
Royal basically taking on the Double Blues indeed. Well, next up, we have Boa. St. Peter's taking on St. Joseph's. It was one of the biggest match at Peter's grounds, Bamba Brigade. I believe I was there as well physically, Boa, and it was a bit of a Peter's game, I believe, at first half. But then right in the middle, right before the referee blew the whistle for the halftime, Joes came back. But they tried so hard to come back to the game, actually using all their forwards. And I believe I was actually at the sideline. I could hear the conversations from the Joes backline. Communications, they were over the roof. They were like thinking what to do. What's the next plan? What's the next game plan? I remember they were so panicked. But basically the Joes forwards were splendid from that second half onwards. But then sadly Peters got back the momentum. Bo, any of your thoughts?
Yeah, look, again, the conditions weren't the greatest. Okay, but super impressed with St. Peter's, man. These kids can run from anywhere. They'll run from Bambalapitiya all the way to goal if they have to, and they'll score tries. That's how good these kids, and they've got the skill set. Okay, that's what really impresses me. And they like to attack. They understand what their strengths are, and at every given time, they want to speed the game up. So I think any team who fails to stop that momentum and speed will pay a very heavy price against St. Peter's, no matter how good you are. So that's number one. As far as St. Joseph's go, yeah, they had some big forwards. It's just that when you carry the ball or when you go into contact, you have to make sure you carry into space. There's no point running into a big brick wall of Peterite defenders. You're selling yourself short. So tactically, that's something I think most teams need to understand. There was in fact one try Royal scored on the left wing where the halfback on a ruck recycle shifted the ball flat and wide to their tight head prop. He ran right into space. Now, as soon as you get big bodies into motion, it's very difficult to stop. It's simple physics. So what I'm saying is something really, really simple. So if St. Joseph's actually got their bigger forwards, particularly young Marsinger, into space and taking in 2-3 defenders, and then their cleaners going in and cleaning nice and hard, getting good, clear ruck recycle for their halfback, things would have been a lot different. It's just that I just felt that they were carrying into, people who were just hanging around the ruck, and eventually fatigue set in. And again, St. Peter's, just like Royal, are very, very conditioned. They're fit. Looks like they train, they train a lot, must be doing a lot of volume. And that's at superior conditioning. So I think that's where the game was won and lost. But nonetheless, brave effort by St. Joseph's. I'd be really keen to see how St. Peter's go on a bone dry, lightning fast surface. I think they could have easily got a couple of more tries. So yeah, I was thoroughly entertained. Well done, St. Peter's and St. Joseph's.
Yeah. St. Peter's, I believe you were right, boy. I think they have been conditioned, they have been trained very well, especially at doing wet conditions, boy. Because if you notice, St. Peter's didn't have any issue at all with the ground being wet and muddy, and as well as the ball being slippery. They had passes with less knock-ons, I believe, from Peter's side. Less knock-ons, smooth passes all the way to the wing 3/4. The number 11, I think Peter's 11, super speed and so skillful. Whereas Joe's found it very difficult. I don't want to make this an excuse where it's wet condition and it's wet ball, but then I believe they found it a bit difficult with that situation, Boa. And yes, you're right. The forwards coming in, smashing the bodies as well as going to gaps. I believe, if Joe's could just handle the small tactics, nothing major, I believe there would be a good. Anyway, and before we just continue, shall we just have a small peek at the highlights? This is St. Peter's taking on the Joseph's.
Is up for grabs for the 64th time as St. Peter's host St. Joseph's. Fumble from the Peterite lock forward, but the skipper breaking through, and now he has a man on the inside, gives it to the speedster on the wing. 𝐊𝐵𝐵𝐵 brought down well. There will be a lot of questions to be answered, but This is something we should expect in this game, Hamza. They set it up, and the second phase they go back to their line. Potent Peterite line. Somehow the Josephian scrambling defense.
He's strict on the high tackles as well. Here you go. I think St. Peter's touchdown. Let's wait for the call from the referee. I think he's consulting the AR.
Well, yes, indeed. That's Malinda, but the turnover, illegal, says the referee, and by the looks of it, he's going to his pocket. Janith Marasinghe, who made that initial break for St. Joseph's College, and now it's Ivano White. He makes no mistake.
Fully recovered from that. Here's Shihara, lines it up. The rolling maul. I think St. Joseph didn't contest that rolling maul early on, but have St. Peter's scored? Yes, they have.
The Josephian forwards sense a golden opportunity to get on the score sheet. Forwards lining up. The big number 2. He scores an Amana Bank try for St. Joseph's College. Beats one. Gets the pass away out. And here is the number 11. Speeding away. Beating a couple of men. Down the wing he goes. Beats the third man. And that's 𝐊𝐿𝐴 Silva. He goes over for a lovely Amana Bank try. As 𝐊𝐴 Silva, the winger for St. Peter's College, for his work, earned himself.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was the highlights of St. Peter's College taking on St. Joseph's College at the Bomber Brigade. Boa, I want to ask you something. So St. Joseph's play Royal College next weekend, sorry, on the 19th of July at Havelock Sports Club. And we know very well that Royal have amazing gameplay as long as they don't get the scope pressure like how Wesley did it at the same time. And Joes, I believe Joes with their forward pack, they are able to do something next few matches coming up. I think they're planned something. I think Peter's match was a wake-up call for St. Joseph's. Just want to know your thoughts before we go forward. Just your thoughts. St. Joseph's taking on Royal.
I think both St. Joseph's and particularly Royal will lift for this weekend. The reason is Royal obviously got tested by Wesley, so it'll be a big wake-up call. I have to say Royal, they have very high standards. So that first half, they'll feel a bit embarrassed because it was sloppy. They made a lot of mistakes. But the second half, they turned it around. And knowing Coach 𝐊𝐴, he'll be really cracking the whip and making sure that they cross the T's and dot the I's and start really well. And I think they'll really bring the physicality because they would have had that little bit of lethargy set in after that off week. And it's good to get tested. I always say this to me, we need to have close games if you want to improve. You don't learn anything from games where you score 50, 60, whatever points. It's just, you might as well just have a glorified training run. So you've got to have tight testing games. And same thing for St. Joseph's. They would have learned a little bit, and obviously they'll be listening to this, particularly when the forwards run into space. So they'll look at some of the tapes of Royal and they'll figure out where to run. Okay. So I think it's going to be an interesting contest. I think Royal have, way more firepower, but again, St. Joseph's at Havelock Park, it can get interesting. And this weekend, the forecast is for wet weather. Okay. And if the ground is really soggy, and we saw what Royal did to Vidyartha at 𝐕𝐿 in absolute, muddy paddy field, I think they'll adopt the same sort of tactics. With Royal, you know what's coming. It's just up the guts, and they just want to smash you into a submission. It's very difficult to stop. So we'll see if St. Joseph's can actually step up and combat this, and whether they could actually turn this around. Now, Buzz, before we proceed, I'm getting a lot of messages on this. Just want to go back to the Trinity Isipathana game. There was one instance where Isipathana actually had an advantage for a player not rolling away or incorrectly, losing his feet in the ruck, and advantage was shown by the referee. And then the Patana halfback kicks the ball across, and then play on, Trinity go on, and then there's a couple of ruck recycles, and there's a penalty, and then they go and score a try in the corner. Now I had a look at the footage. Usually with advantage, once the referee say, you've got to have tactical or territorial gain for the advantage to be over. So I think in this instance, it's one of those things. It should have been called back, and probably Pathana should have been given the penalty on that loss of advantage, because after that kick there was no tactical or territorial gain. So one of those things, guys, unfortunate. Again, I don't really want, like, if I get into this, we won't have enough time to talk about all the missed calls and whatnot. So I'm not going to get into that. Just address that because I had so many questions about it. It's one of those things. It's happened. It's got to move on. It's really up to the people who are organizing this whole gig to come up with a solution. Now, I gave a solution today for the in-goal grounding. I was very clear with it. Get an extra set of eyes, because you can't have TMOs. So hopefully the powers that be are listening to it. They make that change. But I just thought I'd quickly address that because I had so many questions on that. So I think, Patan again, a little bit hard done by, but hey, look, it's over. It's nothing anyone can do. We just got to move on. We can't be stuck in this. We just got to move on.
Yeah, sure. You're right, bro. Actually, right. It's just that it's up to the organizers actually to how to handle this more even better now. Boa you can do so much in giving thoughts and advice. This is how much you can give. The rest is on to the teams, the coaches, and the organizers who are handling this. So yeah, you're actually right. So I hope if anyone has any further questions, please drop a text to our live Facebook page or on the comments at the YouTube live stream, or directly speak to Boa. Please feel free to drop text to Boa and ask any advice regarding that 𝐶𝑠 treaty match. And so let's move on. Exactly, Trinity 𝐶𝑠 beating Trinity in the last few minutes, 15 points to 13. Impressive match. And I just want to, before I forget, just wish St. Joseph's and Royal College best of luck for next week's game. I know it's going to be it won't be a one-sided game, I believe, boy. It won't be one-sided. I think St. Joseph's have something prepared for all after that St. Peter's game took place. All right, let's move on then. St. Thomas's beating DSNI College 29 points to 15. I believe you've discussed this with Mr. Sujit, I believe, Boa. Yeah. So let's just have a small highlight session with. Your thoughts, Boa? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, look, again, DS fell victim to that off week. That's what it was.
Yeah, exactly. It was kind of shocking to everyone almost. This last week was kind of shocking to me and everyone on the team as well. Let's just have a small peek at the highlights. St. Thomas's and DSNI College.
DS forwards need to regroup quickly as the Thomians find themselves knocking unexpectedly on the door of this try line early in the game, and they've managed to get over.
Conversion.
And DS are over. Easy does it. That's what caused a penalty, but now St. Thomas's are back live, and the driving maul looks like it's good. Pereira goes over, wriggles his way to the floor. St. Thomas's almost over the line. One last shove, and it looks like it is an Amana Bank try. Yes, it is. 𝐿𝐴𝐺𝐬 lines this kick up, makes a good contact, and the crowd tells you the story, follows the instructions. Here's 𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸 spinning and just getting his ball over the line. 𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸 with a fantastic finish. They were leading comfortably by 30 points to 12. And 3 of them converted. Good to see Boa Athu Sinhala back and enjoying his rugby. And this is a really important win, not just in terms of this season.
And there you have it. That was the highlights of St. Thomas's taking on DSNI College. 29 points to 15. Now, Boa, DSNI College, they take on 𝐶𝑠 next week. How about your thoughts? Now, I remember DS had an amazing run this entire season, whereas this match actually was shocking to everyone, including the players as well. And 𝐶𝑠 were kind of shocked from that Trinity game as well. So both teams have been given exactly a wake-up call, just like Royal College and St. Peter's. Now, what do you think? How will DS 𝐊𝐴𝐴 take on 𝐖છી𝘃𝗀, and how will 𝐖છી𝘃𝗀 still remain that victory after that shocking game in Trinity College?
A quick turnaround for DS. They've got to learn from their mistakes, and I think they were a little bit hesitant up front. And again, as I said before, they fell victim to this off week. So you've got to really manage your contact and how players don't lose that intensity. So I think that's where their form line took a hit. As far as 𝐼σipatana goes, look, I hate to say this, but you don't want to be overplaying in your own half. You don't want to be playing too much rugby in your 22 and your half, basically. You've got to be smart. And of course, 𝐼σipatana have very good couple of kicking options as well. And it's just about creating space enough for game breakers like Zumri to get into the game. There's no point using Zumri as a crash and bash or running into bodies. You've got to get these game breakers into space where then they can use the X factor. So I think that's one thing they have to focus on. And of course, the territory, playing the right part of the field. DS, it's about minimizing mistakes, and they've got to win the collision up front. If their forwards can match the 𝐼σipatana forward play and get clean ruckery cycle, they have enough firepower in that on the backs, particularly the back three, to test this 𝐼σipatana line. Right? Of course, 𝐼σipatana overwhelming favorites. There's no question about this. But I guess like last year, because remember there was this big online back and forth with the fans about hype train versus, are they just a hyped up contender or is it the real deal? And, they would have learned from their experience. So it's just about being able to put everything right on the day and making sure you nail those moments. Against teams like 𝐼σipatana, you have to nail the moments. If you don't nail it, it's going to come back and bite you in the backside. So I think that's where the tactical battle will be won and lost. But again, if we have a really bad surface this weekend, because there's forecast for wet weather, I hope both teams learn and they learn to play in the right part of the field, because it'll come to a point if they overplay the last 5 minutes, it can turn into a bit of a lottery because the conditioning is really going to come into play. So hopefully they get their tactics right and we are treated to a fast, open game of high-octane rugby.
Indeed, Boa. So, ladies and gentlemen, remember DS 𝐊𝐴𝐴 and 𝐼σipatana College at Sugada Stadium on 21st of July. Best of luck to both teams. And let's move on with last week's games. Kingswood beating Thurston College. I think it was a expected win from Kingswood College, 31-17. We all thought it was Kingswood game. Boa, thoughts?
Yeah, look, congratulations, Kingswood. I know it's been a tough few years. 4 years, in fact, 4 years and 4 months, someone told me. So well done to Kingswood. And I know there's a lot of fans from Kingswood watching this show. I hope you enjoyed and celebrated, but not too long and hard, because you've got a derby traditional game coming up this week against Wesley. So they'll be relieved more than anything else. Yeah, they'll feel good. Rugby, we all get involved in this game to feel good. So it's always good. But shout out to Thurston as well, because they put up a decent fight there. And I did mention this a few weeks back that Thurston they're gonna find life very difficult in the A division. But they'll learn. They'll probably filled up their library with a rugby encyclopedia, because with all these failures they would have learned. But they're getting better every week, and they're getting closer. So hopefully they'll get an opportunity against some of these teams, who are on struggle street, to get a win. But it's tough. You just got to keep your chin up and just box on. So it is what it is.
Yeah, you're right, Boa. And just remind Boa, 𝐿𝐴𝐴 is taking on Kingswood next week for the 𝐿𝐴𝐴 trophy. Just give some small insight, Boa. It's not to be a major, but just small insight on how Trinity can come back in winning back the trophy, because Wesley have won this trophy the last year as well as in 2022. The 𝐿𝐴𝐴 trophy. So do you think Wesley can retain the title and return the trophy back again this year? Or do you think after this win with Thurston, Trinity have some kind of a wake up, like a momentum, like a energy rush, ready for this game with 𝐕𝐴𝐶.
So it's Kingswood, not Trinity.
Kingswood, yeah.
So Wesley are overwhelming favorites on paper because Kingswood are on side on Struggle Street, and they did had to huff and puff to beat Thurston, who are bottom of the ladder. So yeah, look, they've just got to match them up front, and they've just got to make sure that they nail their opportunities, because when you're on Struggle Street like Kingswood, and now that they've got a little bit of confidence, they've just got to make sure that all the opportunities stick. And in derby games, I'll say this again, when you get the opportunity, take the points. Take the points, build scoreboard pressure.
There you go.
And put yourself so that you're in a situation where you have a fighting chance. So it's not rocket science, I'm telling you. Okay. A lot of people asking me, what's the silver bullet? What's the magic bullet? There's no magic bullet. You just got to do the basics really right and make good decisions which give you an opportunity to convert pressure into points. That is it.
Yeah, I was hoping you say scoreboard pressure from penalties goals, because I remember the Royal Wesley game. That's exactly what happened. The moment Wesley gave scoreboard pressure, Royal was sloppy. So if we can have every other team who are going against the top teams, just to keep that scoreboard pressure, keep the teams who have been playing and been scoring and everything, to get that pressure on, and have a nice game. That'll be good. So best of luck to Wesley and Kingswood this week for the 𝐕𝐴𝐶 Trophy. And let's just have a quick peek at the highlights of Kingswood College taking on Thurston.
Anticipated game of the week. Kingswood College. Candy is takes the ball up wide, and he passes it on. Here's a great opportunity for Kingswood. Can he make the run? Can he find the whitewash? Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
𝐿𝐴𝐿 goes the blind side, the fly half. Here's Sachin, and he'll go through.
He waits. Here's Sachin for Kingswood with the conversion, and the conversion goes through. Calls from them, and he manages to put the ball in. That's a decent, wonderful kick, I would say. Not a decent kick, wonderful kick. The points up to 19 points to 10. Here's Lasanga, and he puts it through.
Use their forwards, which to good effect. They used in the last try, their first of the season, and their first of the division rugby in a long time. Puts the ball to boot, collected by the number 13 Bandara, and that will be the try coming in. The bonus point try. Collects it at the fourth pod, forms the rolling maul. This time good work from Thurston. Takes the ball into contact, meters away from the try line. This is what they should have been doing from the start. Use their big forwards. And here's the ball being held up. Advantage for not rolling away. There's about couple of meters, and looks like they'll have a word. He dived over from the top of the ruck.
Seems as if though the try will not be awarded, but we'll have to look what the referee's call will be. And the try has been awarded, though Thurston hit back yet again to add 2 more points. And he is successful.
Puts the kick. Was a good one. Taken very well by Sachin, and he goes through, cutting back in. Here's Sachin. Looks like he'll go over. And that will be a brilliant, brilliant try coming in for 𝐿𝐴𝐧𝐝. And this is the key stats of the game. 𝐁𝐚𝐧𝐝 College winning 31 points to 17 against Thurston.
And there you have it. That was the highlights of 𝐁𝐚𝐧𝐝 College taking on Thurston College. 31 points to 17. Best of luck once again for Wesley College and 𝐁𝐚𝐧𝐝 College this week for the 𝐿𝐴𝐧𝐝 Trophy. And we shall move on with the next match that happened. 𝐍𝐼RA College beating Vidyartha College 13 points to 10. I mean, I know for a fact, Boa, you were actually shocked about this match. 𝐍𝐼RA, who actually got back from this match, surprisingly. And yeah, this your thoughts, Boa, all to you.
I think 99.9% are shocked. The only people who actually believe were 𝐍𝐼RA team and the supporters, because Vidyartha had a red hot streak. Again, the off week, they fell victim to it. Look, yeah, there's a couple of calls in the breakdown. I thought Vidyartha were very unlucky, but again, that's down to interpretation, and could have gone either way. 𝐍𝐼RA took their chances, and what they did do really well, they had very good spatial awareness. There was one instance, in fact, I cut a clip last weekend where there was a number 8 break from the base. They were in the opposition 22, and you can see the number 8 taking a really wide angle and a channel and carrying into space, right? And had they had a quick ruck recycle, they could have kept shifting it to the same left corner and scored a try. But they quickly sorted it out, and there was an ensuing penalty. And this is one of the things, the debated breakdown penalty. But they took a quick tap because they were aware that everyone was bunched underneath the post opposition, and they nailed the opportunity. So I think great work by 𝐍𝐼RA to write their own little script. And I think Vidyartha were just a little bit underdone because they would have played St. Peter's the previous week, and I thought they warmed up really well, putting 50 points. So you see how the form line deteriorated. They put 50 points against an opposition. They had the off week, and then they slumped to a 3-point loss. Yeah. So this is the danger. Tactically, you've got to keep your contact nice and fresh and be contact ready. So what contact ready means is being able to run into contact, keep that fitness going, and be able to play the way you want to play for 70 minutes. So as soon as you have a little break, you've got to plan for that.
Basically, what you mean is keep that momentum upward, not to lose it. It goes to all teams. But yeah, you're right. Keep the momentum up. Keep that training. Keep that motivation. Keeping that physical fitness there rather than losing it down. And sometimes it happens due to overconfidence as well. I have experienced some teams overconfidently think they have won the match, but then due to that, it leads to either losing very, very badly or just losing from like a 3-point or 2-point lead. So there you have it. That was 𝐍𝐼RA taking on Vidyartha College. And again, St. Peter's take on 𝐍𝐼RA next week at Bamba Brigade, Boa. What is your insight? I believe it's a sure shot that Peters will win this, but do you think 𝐍𝐼RA can do something? Because after this game, I am really unsure. I'm trying not to underestimate any team here at this moment.
With the greatest respect, no. I think 𝐍𝐼RA will be very keen and bullish. They'll try to fire some shots, but you have to understand, St. Peter's are, they're different class. They have people and personnel. They can turn the game on its head in a heartbeat. Now, the only realistic way 𝐍𝐼RA or any side are going to beat St. Peter's is if they starve them of possession, give them as little ball, and if you recall, Wesley, the week before we went into Wesley, they took the game to St. Peter's with their forwards up front. And they bent their line a couple of times. And whenever they got the opportunity, they took the points. That's what you got to do. So with teams like St. Peter's, you got to try and walk from set piece to set piece. Really take the heat, take the sting right out of the game. Don't give them any opportunity to use their fast backs. If you give them opportunity to run laterally at you, it's game over. They'll put 30, 40 points in a blink of an eye. Okay? That's how good these backs are. But if you starve them of possession, win that battle up front, hang on to the ball, take your points, and build enough scoreboard pressure and drag it into that last 10 minutes where you can keep that physical momentum. So it's you got to be really fit to do this. Then they have a chance. Okay. But I don't think 𝐻𝐼RA, I mean, 𝐻𝐼RA a very good side, don't get me wrong, but I don't think they're quite there yet. But prove me wrong, 𝐻𝐼RA. Prove me wrong.
There you go. You heard the words, 𝐻𝐼RA. You heard the words from Boa Athu. Basically, do not let fatigue take over. That's the basic point Boa was trying to say, right? Keep the momentum. Do not let fatigue take over. Keep the scoreboard pressure. That's it. Basic points. I agree with you, Boa. I agree with you. And with the other take on Thurston College at 𝐷𝐿𝐴. Now, Boa, you have said that 𝐷𝐿𝐴 is the best ground to play in. These two teams have been through a lot this last week from the matches. What do you think?
No, I think, look, Thurston are going to feel the wrath of the tiger. The hidden tiger and crouching claws are all going to come out, and man, they're going to be really annoyed that they dropped that game, and they'll be coming back with a vengeance. Look, 𝐷𝐿𝐴 is an amazing place to play when there's a dry surface, right? When there's no dry surface, it's pretty tough. But I suppose that stays true with most grounds around, Kandy and Colombo. So, yeah, I think, it's fairly obvious what's going to happen. I think Vidyartha will be really determined to get back on the horse and send a strong message, and particularly get that very vocal fan base. I got to say, Vidyartha fans, my goodness, they make themselves heard. And I think they've got a really good administrative setup this year as well. Really keen people doing some stuff. So it's really nice to see. I know they do things a little bit differently in their own way, and that's entirely their business, and they have every right to do it. And for me personally, I have nothing but respect for that. So well done, and I think we know what's coming. And Thurston, well, you better be prepared for it.
Anyways, best of luck to both teams, Boa. Best of luck, Thurston and with the other at 𝐷𝐿𝐴 grounds. And St. Peter's taking on 𝐻𝐼RA at 𝐵𝐴𝐴. And best of luck to all four teams, basically. You're not putting down anyone, not demotivated. Just keep those three things in mind, whatever Boa said: scoreboard pressure, momentum, and do not let fatigue take over. Let's move on. I believe Dharmaraja College beat St. Anthony's College 24 points to 6. Before we get on to Boa's thoughts, shall we just have a quick sneak peek at the highlights? Dharmaraja College taking on St. Anthony's.
Dharmaraja forms that rolling maul. Dharmaraja puts pressure on the Antonian defense. Can they find the opening try of the game? They are making meters. They are over the try line. And will that be the opening try of the game? And we wait. We wait. The referee wants to have a look at it. He will be having a word with his AR. Yet again, we don't have any voice coming from the referee's mic to understand what their conversation is. But a big moment in this game. What will be the call? And that will be the first Amana Bank try of the game for Dharmaraja. He managed to get this through. Omita Disanayaka for St. Anthony's with the kick, and it goes through. St. Anthony's finally manages to put some points on the board.
Scrum, Kavinda Jayamana feeds it. Here's 𝐿𝐴𝐴𝐵𝐴𝐴, the number 8, taking the ball into contact. Still on his feet is 𝐿𝐴𝐴𝐵𝐴𝐴. He did this very well against Sri Sumangala, as the ball has been given out wide, and barges through his 𝐿𝐴𝐴𝐵𝐴𝐴. He secures the ball, and here's another big prop forward. Yes, 𝐿𝐴𝐴𝐵𝐴𝐴 has the distance and has the direction as well. Finally puts it through.
Shot. Not the best of plays from St. Anthony's, but they have an advantage coming their way.
And it looks like the Antonians will be going for points. And right under the post, a sensible thing to do as well. But They wanted to go for 3 points straight away. And through the middle goes 𝐊𝐿𝐿𝐼𝐼, rather Omid Disanayaka. And it's 12 points to 6.
Feeding the ball in. And Dharmaraja have turned it. And that is another try for Dharmaraja. The third Amana Bank try. As I was saying before, St. Anthony's had a lot to do there. They were just in front of the whitewash and they lost the ball through the scrum.
Through the blind side, which was left unguarded. And that will be the third Amana Bank try coming in for Dharmaraja, as the number 12, Satisha Veeravamsa, will try to get the conversion. Readies it, has the distance, but not the direction. 𝐷𝐴𝐻𝐿𝐼 to feed in. If they do manage to get this cleanly, 𝗏𝐵𝐴𝐻𝐿𝐼 would most likely to break. But 𝐊𝐵𝐴𝐻𝐿𝐼 gives it to Dhamsit Ratnayaka. He takes the ball into contact. A lovely straightening line from Ratnayaka. And here's 𝗏𝐵𝐴𝐻𝐿𝐼. And over goes 𝗏𝐵𝐴𝐻𝐿𝐼. That's the bonus point try for Dharmaraja. And 22 points to 6. With the conversion, and it's good. 24 points to 6. He was playing with a lot of wind, and that's a knock on, and that probably should be the game. And there you go. 24 points to 6.
Key stats from the game: Dharmaraja 24, St. Anthony 6. It was a lot closer first half, just 2 points separating the both sides. 5-3 was
an easy 3 points. It was under the post at a penalty. They turned down the shot, went for a line out, lost it, turned it over. St. Anthony's, beg your pardon, Dharmaraja came right back. They won a penalty at ruck time. They kicked deep, had a line out, had a driving maul, scored 5, converted, complete shift in momentum. And that allowed Dharmaraja to really impose their physicality. For me, this last weekend, the most improved team and the team which has really learned is the Rajans. I have to say that they were really physical at the breakdown. They were taking bodies, taking space. Outstanding work. Unfortunately, St. Anthony is not what you want to hear, fans of St. Anthony's. Your form line has drifted really bad. It's a very, very alarming drift. You're missing out on some basics. So you really need to look at how you're training, what you're training. Really touch up on your basics and make sure that you minimize your errors. So that might be a little bit of fitness, a bit of fatigue coming in. Got to sort this out very quickly, because if you don't, and if you keep continuing in this way, it's going to be a very, very long season. So well done, Rajans, and I know I've got a lot of fans in this show. The most improved and fastest learning team from last weekend.
Indeed, well, congratulations again, Rajans, for that impressive win. St. Anthony's College, try to prove Boa Athu wrong. Try to prove all of us wrong by getting those points in. As I mentioned, scoreboard pressure, not letting the fatigue in, and the momentum. If y'all can get all those right, prove us wrong. Prove Boa wrong, whether y'all can come up just like the Rajans. And Boa Trinity take on St. Anthony's College at Pallakala next week. Just your thoughts. I know we have a hot seat session coming up right in the end of this, but I just want your thoughts so that our viewers or the coaches or the teams, whoever is watching this show, can learn from what you have to say, the advice straight up. Just your thoughts. I know hot seat will come back later. Just your thoughts.
I think Trinity will build from the Patana game, no question about it. I saw enough of good stuff, how they stayed in the fight, and very impressed with particularly some of the forwards actually. It's the way they were carrying. They just need to make sure that they can, cut out all those errors and mistakes. So I'm expecting Trinity to get better. And I think they will play a lot more tactical footy as well. And I think we'll see a bit more awareness from the kicker, Altaf. I think he'll look for more contestable kicks. He's starting to get that right now. And of course, Trinity have some, they have some decent runners out wide as well. So I'm expecting Trinity to build on this. And because of that break we've had, that yo-yo form line is just going to get disrupted a bit because, they did push 𝐿𝐴𝐶𝐶 Patana. And as I said before, both teams can feel this. I felt Trinity were a little bit unlucky not to come away with the win, but there's always arguments for it against that. As far as St. Anthony's go, I think they've got a bit of a hole to dig themselves out of. Trinity, on the other hand, will want to make sure that they keep St. Anthony's, and in essence, best opponent Trinity can face because it's a hometown rival. They don't have to travel too far, and they'll be loving it. So I think this will be a good chance for Trinity to get some confidence back and actually try out the squad depth as well.
Best of luck, Trinity College and St. Anthony's College this week at Pallakale. And let's move on to the last match of last week, Science College and Sri Sumangala. I was actually at the game, Boa, witnessing this. No spectators, just a few committee members from both the teams. 41 points to 12. Kind of sloppy. I must give my thoughts because I was there. It's kind of a sloppy game for Science at the first half. Playing after a week, and actually with that red card down, I believe that momentum was kind of dropped from the team. Not so much of a worthy opponent for Science. Their defense was on point.
Look,
what do you think?
I have to say, very disappointed. I think particularly the players' parents, the young kids, and I saw Science, the juniors. They had a big screen on, so well done to Science for doing that. And of course, we have to think about the Sumangala team as well because they've been penalized as well. I'm sure their parents, supporters, they would love to come and watch these kids play. So, it's not ideal, and of course, why they did that and the process into that's a whole different story. I really don't want to get into that because I've visited that once, and we won't have enough time to talk about it. So I just feel really bad for both teams, Science and Sumangala. I'm always dead against penalizing players, and it's just, to me, it's just tragic that this sort of thing happened. But well done to Science, and for me, I love both teams. I love Science and I love Summa. A lot of time for both of them. There's some lovely people on both sides administering the game at their respective schools. So congratulations. Well done to both teams. It was really nice to see. And the game was played in tremendous spirit. I saw some photos going around where players were helping each other when they were down. So it's amazing to see. And maybe other schools can learn from them.
Right. It must be a good learning point for everyone watching that game. I was actually witnessing that. I just said that Science College player helped out a Sumangala player at Science end with that. I think it was a hamstring or a muscle pull. Lovely show of sportsmanship, friendship, all in that spiritual game. And before we go further, can we just have a small highlight session of Science College taking on Sri Sumangala College, Candy?
Science College play host to Sri Sumangala College at Police Park. It's another one, lovely stepping from Pereira, and he gives that pass out, and that will be the first try for Science College. Desperately, the big forward all the way. Yes, he did. The first try of the game for Sri Sumangala College. Fingers let him down. Here goes Science College on the other side, and the number 23. He dives over for the third Amana Bank try for Science College. They need the control, and here's Science College. Lovely breakaway and he will have enough pace to go all the way college. And that's a lovely breakaway, and he will go over for another Amana Bank try. Here goes for a second time. Sri Sumangala College for their second Amana Bank try. If we quickly take a look at the key stats from this encounter: Science College 41, Sri Sumangala 12.
To 12 at Police Park. Well done, Science College. Performance was good. Second half, especially, that Science College team had that momentum right up at second half. And Boa, just to get something out, St. Thomas College take on Sri Sumangala College at Mount Lavinia. Just your thoughts about that. Hot seat is going to come up right after this. Just want your thoughts.
Yeah, look, tough ask again, you know. So again, Summa like Thurston coming up to the A division, and it's going to be a steep learning curve. But you know, they're enjoying themselves. I hope it's new experience in the A division for these kids, and you know, at least their traveling fan base get to watch a game at the venue. So that's a good news. It's going to be tough. I think St. Thomas's they'll be feeling really bullish after upsetting the apple cart with DS. So they'll be right in amongst it. But yeah, let's see if Summa can find some shots. When they get, I have to say one thing about Sumangala. When they get it right, they come up with some spectacular highlight reel stuff, because they have players who can, you know, run some cool angles and do some nice things. So let's see, you know, put up a fight, see how it goes, and all I can say, best of luck. One of my favorite teams, Sumangala.
Indeed. Yeah, best of luck to both teams. St. Thomas College taking on Sri Sumangala College Kandy at Mount Lavinia. Right as said before, Sri Sumangala College have that right moment where they let their runners run from the back line. I see those two centers, especially the science game, when that scrum went Sumangala College's way, it went their way so well that the line had so much momentum. That center broke through, but ended up being caught up. But that's how it is. As long as the forwards get that momentum and give space, gap for the line, back lines, that's all it takes. So best of luck. And the last game next week is Dharmaraj College taking on Science at Pallakale. Boa, one of the favorite team, Science and Dharmaraj. It's over to you.
Well, Rajans have a bit of a role going on here. Okay. Science will be eager to prove a point as well. And they're tricky customer, Science. So I'm a little bit torn on the form line here. But I think I have to go Science way, because, you know, they have some really good finishes. But these games are going to be a lot closer, and I'm really torn based on what I see. But I think experience and the ability to finish opportunities, because Science has some lethal finishes out wide, I think they'll come home. But we'll see.
That's right. Thanks, Bo. So best of luck to Dharmaraj College and Science College. And I just want to give a quick shout out and thanks to Dialogue as well as puppet.com for allowing us to use their highlights for this show, make this show a success. And now let's get back to the hot seat. Boa, are you ready? I know you've given thoughts. I know you've made up your mind now. Let's just see how it is. Straight up. No thinking, Boa. Just straight answers. Who's going to take over? All right. First one. Trinity St. Anthony's at Pallakale.
I think Trinity by 7+.
St. Joseph's and Royal College at Havelock Park.
I think Royal by less than 12.
All right. St. Peter's taking on Zyra College at the Bomber Brigade.
Yeah, I think St. Peter's 15+.
Wesley's taking on Kingswood College.
Yeah, Wesley by less than 15.
Less than 15. Okay. And DS Senai College taking on 𝐸𝐶 Patana.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Patana less than 12 points.
Vidyartha versus Thurston. Sorry, my apologies. Vidyartha versus Thurston at Nitavada. Mind you, the ground as well.
Yeah, I think Vidyartha 15+. Again, you're right, depending on the conditions of the ground. So the reason I'm going a little bit conservative is because it's going to be quite muddy.
Dharmaraj versus Science.
Really tough call, but I think Science will get home by 7 points or lesser.
Last one, St. Thomas's and Summa at Mount Lavinia.
going to be a lot closer, and I think Summa will be in the fight for a long while, but I think St. Thomas will have too much power and class and they'll draw away. So I'm expecting St. Thomas's anywhere between 10 and 13 points. So there you go.
And there you have it. That was the hot seat for next week's games happening. And before we wind up, I just want to ask our director, Mr. Sujit, do we have any questions from our live Facebook stream or on YouTube, anywhere?
Well, I did not come across any questions yet. There are discussions going on talking about the games of the past week. And good to see the audience engaging in discussions, talking about the matches and the outcome. And most of them were talking about, this is a bit of a concern because of the weather conditions, plus Science College being forced to play behind closed doors. The juniors are not getting a game. That's a concern right now.
So this is the thing, this is the collateral damage and unintended consequences when you make decisions like this. The ramifications, and you have to look at the opposition as well. So last week it was Science and Summa, so all the Summa juniors and the Science juniors. Science juniors are sitting, watching the game far away on a big screen. So, this is the thing. We are penalizing children. I'm completely against that sort of thing. We have to allow children, but this is a kid's game, right? And we have to treat this as such. If someone is guilty of something, adults find out the perpetrators, and then if they've done something criminal, which they did, which they've assaulted, rather viciously, the referees, the police are there, the courts are there. That has the legal procedures have to take place. But punishing children is just, to me, nonsensical. It's just wrong at every level. So hopefully this weekend, something will get sorted out.
Yeah, I hope it gets sorted out this weekend.
Yeah, Tiran. As you said, let's hope that the schools Rugby Football Association will take it positively and be a bit more lenient, considering the small children, the kids, more than the spectators. They deserve a game. And as we know, their tournaments are to be held towards September, October, and where the country is heading right now, we are heading towards some election season, and we don't know whether the tournaments can be hosted. So why not let these kids play some rugby during this time? And unfortunately, do not deprive them, because they've been practicing for months and months, and I can see their faces. And when I watched that video of Science boys sitting in a hall and watching the match, I mean, it's a crying shame. It is a crying shame. And we hope that the schools association will consider at least the juniors to play games, and then due to the weather factor, the schools who are hosting matches during these weekends will consider playing their games and giving these boys that exposure they need.
Yeah, thank you. Any more questions, Mr. Sujit? Any more questions from the?
Not really. We don't have anything right at the moment. Where I was scanning through, and I'm happy to see the fans engaging themselves and chatting about the conditions and the situation, what prevailed over the weekend. But that's about it. I think we've discussed pretty much, and we gave our opinion. And Boa, you gave your opinion, a candid opinion as well. Wherever you can, and I think here we are not taking anybody's side, not crucifying the referees, no vilifying the culprits, but we are trying to give the right picture, and I believe that we communicated that, and we earnestly request the spectators to uphold the spirit of the game, as well as the players are doing it exemplary manner, as Tehran spotted at the Summa versus Science game last weekend, and we spotted few at the Wesley Royal game. It was a very tense battle, and I was on pins when they were walking out, because it was so tense. But boys turned back, hugged each other, gave a handshake, and moved on. And that's rugby. That's rugby we play, and that's rugby we want the kids to play. And it's just a game, and it's not a war.
And Sujit and Buzz, just want to make something clear. I mean, my role and our role is, we can only say what we see. I'm a professional analyst, and I analyze what happens there. So if something needs to be discussed, I will. I'll do that very openly without fear or favor. I don't expect everyone to agree with me. I mean, how boring would it be if everyone agreed as opposed to disagree? Anyone is welcome to agree or disagree, but so long as we're having a engaging conversation, and it's all about learning, really. Just we learn, be better. What I am seeing is that a lot of coaches and players are in fact taking the criticisms on board really well. And I'll repeat myself again. Taking the points, taking kicks at goal is the best evidence of that. So I just wish all other stakeholders would humble themselves a little bit, yeah. And if there's something you can take on board, please take it on board. It's honest feedback we're giving, and we try and analyze the situations as best as we can with the footage and views available. So it is what it is. But the most important thing is, as a community, we're all engaging constructively. So long may that continue.
Indeed. You're absolutely right, Bo. You're absolutely right. So that's it from our end. Hope everyone enjoyed the show. And before we wrap up the session, I just want to let everyone know, if anyone has any questions, feel free to drop by Mr. Boa Athu. Keep asking questions. Get to know the game, get to know schools rugby, get to know how it works, tactics. Feel free. I'm sure Boa Athu doesn't mind at all. And once again, another shout out to the Pathway.com and Dialogue for allowing us to use the footage and the highlights, which makes this show a success. And Bo, any final words from you before we finish up?
Look, let's look forward to the weekend. Hopefully, there won't be as many dramas as we've had in the last couple of weeks. And look, let's uphold the spirit of the game, particularly on the field. And I think we're starting to get better at that. And yeah, just enjoy it, guys. At the end of the day, it's a game of rugby. There's more to life than a game of rugby, played in the right spirit, and just enjoy it.
Games. And best of luck to all the referees. Shots. Let's not have any issues this week of Fabulous School Rugby. So from that is me, 𝗤𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐴𝐵𝐴𝐵 from Quadrangle, and our very own statspert, Mr. Boa Athu, signing off. So for all the schools out there, let's rock and roll.
Hey, have you heard about Z?
Z. We KYC.
Easy.
Mobile banking. Crazy.
Education loans and salary advances. Amazing.
Introducing the Digital Youth Account. NDBZ. NDBZ from NDB Bank. The future is banking on us.
Creamy richness redefined. Smooth, soft, spreadable. Introducing Ultra Soft 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 with canola and sunflower oil.
We search the world for the finest things for you. Things like sun-kissed European berries, rich chocolate from the world's best cocoa fields, and crisp cashews and fluffy marshmallows in a quirky Australian recipe.
𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐴𝐵𝐴𝐵, experience the world.
හැමදේම අතළඟ තියෙද්දි දුක් විඳින්නේ ඇයි?